In the early years of Emperor Vespasian's reign, Rome was stirred by a monumental command. The artificial lake of the Domus Aurea, once the ultimate symbol of Nero's extravagance, would be erased and replaced with a structure built for the people. The order carried deep political meaning, signaling the end of the old regime and ushering in a new era in which imperial power aligned itself with the spirit of the populace. Across the city, Romans buzzed with excitement as waves of builders, slaves, soldiers, and engineers poured into the land that had once belonged to Nero, now destined to become the very heart of the empire. When the Flavian dynasty decided to build a new arena for Rome, the design was entrusted to the empire's finest architects and engineers. Their initial goal was to create a structure capable of holding tens of thousands of spectators, operating flawlessly and enduring for generations. Studying the terrain of the abandoned lake inside the Domus Aurea, the architects realized the naturally sunken ground was ideal for laying a massive circular foundation. From this, the elliptical design was born, not only for its beauty, but also for its acoustic advantages, visibility, and safety. The shape ensured that spectators everywhere had a clear view of the arena floor and allowed crowds to move smoothly in and out of the structure. The first phase of construction was preparing the foundation, a colossal undertaking. The entire lakebed was filled with earth and stone, topped with a thick layer of Roman concrete known as opus caementitium. This mix of rubble, gravel, lime, and volcanic ash, pozzolana, created a level of durability that would stand the test of time. Engineers built a huge elliptical ring nearly 500 meters in circumference. Deep trenches were dug to hold the concrete base, ensuring the structure could bear the weight of thousands of tons of material above it. Once completed, the foundation became the solid skeleton that would support the entire arena, capable of withstanding earthquakes and centuries of erosion. Meanwhile, material preparation took place across the empire. Massive travertine blocks were quarried from the stone mountains of Tivoli, 30 kilometers from Rome. Each block was precisely cut, marked, and transported by carts and waterways. Tens of thousands of these stones arrived at the site, where builders used iron clamps to fasten them together. In addition to travertine, architects used lighter tough stone for internal walls and fired bricks for the upper levels. Timber from various regions was brought in for scaffolding, lifting platforms, and temporary structures. Every material was chosen with care, matched perfectly to its role within the larger design. The Roman arena was designed with 4 monumental tiers, each reflecting a distinct architectural style and playing a specific role within the structure. From the very first level, the Romans poured their strongest materials into creating the firmest possible base. This level featured massive Doric columns carved from multi-ton travertine blocks hauled from Tivoli. Its arches were built wide to welcome the enormous crowds streaming in. The barrel vaults of the first tier not only distributed weight, but also acted as the spine, bearing the load of the 3 levels above. Inside the Doric level were wide corridors and walls several times thicker than those on the upper floors.
constructed from tough stone and Roman concrete to support the immense pressure channeled down from the entire structure. Thanks to this, the first tier became a rock-solid foundation that has kept the arena standing for nearly 2,000 years. Although the Doric tier emphasized strength over decoration, Roman architects still created a rhythmic sequence of arches, each framed with subtle moldings that caught and reflected the shifting light. Large relief sculptures were not yet common on this level, but the meticulous treatment of the stone surfaces gave the foundation its solemn, imposing character. Above the Doric level stood the Ionic tier, where the architecture became more graceful. Tall Ionic columns rose with their signature spiral volutes, giving the structure a lighter and more balanced appearance. This level served both to distribute the weight from above and to introduce harmony to the building's facade. The arches on the second tier were narrower and taller, built with a combination of outer travertine and lighter interior stone to reduce pressure. This area was reserved for Rome's middle class, so its corridors were spacious, and the staircases leading to the upper level were arranged in sweeping curves to ensure smooth movement, even when tens of thousands of spectators entered at once. The design of the second tier demonstrated the Romans' meticulous engineering, strong enough to support the upper floors, but not so heavy as to overwhelm the level beneath it. By the time one reached the second tier, the architecture had clearly softened. The Ionic capitals, carved with symmetrical spirals, were sharpened to crisp edges that reflected the mastery of Roman stonecutters. Above the arches, the Romans added fine moldings that followed the curve of each opening, enhancing the sense of depth. In the late afternoon, sunlight falling across these moldings created striking shadows, making the facade appear to shift throughout the day. Next came the third tier, the Corinthian level, considered the most beautiful and refined of them all. Here, Corinthian columns adorned with elaborate acanthus leaves rose in artistic splendor, giving the arena its sense of grandeur. The Romans chose the Corinthian order for the highest columned tier because they wanted it to be the visual highlight, clearly visible from afar as one approached the city. Behind the elegant columns stood walls built of fired brick to reduce weight, reinforced with concrete and stone rubble. This level held the largest number of spectators, the common masses, so corridors and staircases were densely arranged. To prevent vibrations when tens of thousands of feet moved at once, architects installed a system of internal load-bearing arches that kept the structure stable despite the enormous pressure from the stands. The combination of artistry and engineering at the Corinthian level made it a masterpiece of ancient architecture. The Corinthian capitals were carved with extraordinary finesse, their acanthus leaves layered and curled as if swaying in a gentle breeze. Each capital was a work of art in its own right, yet repeated consistently to create both majesty and unity. On the walls behind them, the Romans installed pedestals that once held hundreds of statues in stone or bronze. These statues depicted gods, Roman heroes, and Greek mythological figures, transforming the arena into a living museum as well as a performance venue. Large reliefs showing battle scenes, animal hunts, or victorious triumphs were placed between the arches, giving visitors the sense that they were stepping into a world of power, myth, and military glory. The decorative motifs were not only artistic, but also symbols of the empire's pride. Every triumph, every value etched permanently into stone. The fourth and highest tier was built without columns, consisting instead of a solid wall made of brick and lightweight concrete. This wall was perforated by hundreds of small holes along its perimeter, slots for the massive masts that held the velarium, the arena's giant canopy. The velarium system was a testament to Roman engineering. Enormous sheets of fabric stretched by ropes, operated by naval sailors, capable of shading more than half of the audience. When deployed, the velarium required perfect coordination. The tension on every rope had to be balanced to prevent sudden snaps or dangerous lashings. Inside the fourth level were mechanisms for operating the canopy, where slaves and soldiers constantly adjusted the ropes according to the wind. Although it stood at the top, this tier used the lightest materials to minimize pressure on the 3 levels below. Though the fourth tier lacked the ornate stone columns of the lower levels, it featured technical aesthetic details of its own. The rows of circular mast holes, evenly spaced, created a rhythmic architectural pattern unique to this tier. Each hole was lined with a small carved stone rim, carefully polished to prevent cracking when the masts swayed in the wind. The wall surface also included series of small square or rectangular ventilation openings, each with softly rounded arches to give the facade a more fluid feel and prevent the upper wall from looking too heavy or rigid. Moldings and raised bands encircled the tier, contributing to a harmonious composition that crowned the arena with a powerful architectural skyline. Beyond its monumental architecture and exquisite decoration, the Roman Colosseum also concealed a drainage and hydraulic system so advanced that even modern engineers can't help but admire it. Ever since the foundation was laid on the former lake of Nero's palace, Roman engineers had anticipated the risks of rainwater accumulation and soil erosion. So beneath the thick base, they built a network of stone drains and deep channels lined with waterproof tiles, directing water into major canals around Rome. These drainage channels were arranged like the spokes of a wheel, radiating outward from the center and connecting to the Cloaca Maxima, the most famous sewer system of ancient Rome. Already centuries old. Thanks to this design, even during the heaviest storms, rainwater from the canopy, stairways, corridors, and arena floor was channeled away quickly, preventing any flooding of the structure. The arena floor itself was covered with wood and layered with sand, but beneath that sand was a subtly sloped surface designed to guide water into hidden channels. Each channel connected to drainage pipes beneath the hypogeum. This system didn't just manage rain, it handled blood, wastewater, and animal remains after combats. The Romans installed dozens of small drains around the arena's perimeter, allowing workers to pour water and sweep blood and debris into the sewer after each event. Engineers also installed stone valves that could open or close to control water flow, protecting the hypogeum from flooding. This level of planning shows that Roman pride extended not only to military might, but also to environmental mastery within such a massive structure. Remarkably, in the early years, before the hypogeum was built, the arena could even be flooded to stage mock naval battles, naumachia. To achieve this, engineers connected the Colosseum's water system to a nearby source of clean water. When needed, they opened large sluice gates to fill the arena, turning it into an artificial lake within hours. After the spectacle, the water was drained through massive channels that led into the Cloaca Maxima. Beyond draining the arena floor, architects also designed a drainage system for the seating areas. Every staircase was built with precise slopes and stone-lined gutters running along the steps, guiding rainwater downward instead of letting it pool on walkways. These gutters connected to vertical pipes sandwiched between the walls. During storms, or whenever the velarium wasn't deployed, water from the highest tier flowed through hundreds of tiny outlets into these gutters and disappeared instantly. Thanks to this, even with up to 80,000 spectators, the Colosseum rarely became slippery or waterlogged. This clever design turned the entire structure into a living organism, one that could breathe and clean itself daily, preserving its stability through countless rainy seasons.